On this episode of Latinas, we'll hear how Hurricane Ida and the effects of climate change displaced one Boricua in the Bronx. We'll meet badass rocker Eljuri and so much more. Latinas starts now. Welcome to Latinas, the show that's all about nuestras mujeres in the Latinx community. I'm Tina Beth Pina. November is Puerto Rican Heritage Month, and Bomba Plena is both a traditional dance and musical style of Puerto Rico, with origins rooted in the island's history of African slavery. Today, it's evolved into a community expression of Puerto Rican culture, and one Latina is making sure that it continues to be cultivated on the mainland as well. Hunter Center for Puerto Rican Studies has the story.
Si se junta un blanco y la negra raza, fue que mi hermana se va a casa.
My name is Isha Maria Renta Lopez. I am the founder and director of the Bomba group called Semilla Cultural. Bomba is a traditional music and dance form developed by the enslaved Africans that lived in the island. And it requires a singer that will be with a chorus, and it'll be a call response type of singing. Traditionally, percussion instruments, drums, maracas, and a pair of sticks called kwa, and a dancer. So it kind of becomes a challenge, a dialogue between main drummer and dancer, and then there's other drummers that are keeping the basic rhythm going. I thought, well, maybe I could form my own group. What if I do like a pilot workshop in my basement? Let's see if it brings enough people, and from there, if there's enough interest to kind of like build up a group. And from there, it's been a great journey. I think the effort of a lot of the ambassadors in the island and outside of the island is paying off. In the last decade, when the bombazos started, people started learning about it. I think people started connecting more with their heritage and their identity.
Para mí la bomba es esa conexión con Puerto Rico. A pesar de que estoy lejos, me mantiene conectada con mi islita. Es esa comunicación entre la bailarina y el primo, representando toda la cultura bella que nosotros tenemos, y es ese ritmo, esa pasión que lleva la bomba en sí.
As a director of Semilla Cultural, an ambassador of Bomba in the area, it comes with a big responsibility of make sure that I give the right information. I will also make people feel welcome. That just because I'm from a different culture, it doesn't mean that I'm going to put a wall between us. On the other hand, no, I'm going to open up everything that I know and share it with you. And at the same time, I'm open to learning from them. As part of the group, we do a lot of not only practice our songs, but we also do developmental and dynamics between the group to think about Bomba not only as music and singing, but also, how did you connect to it? Like we've done group dynamics like describe Bomba in one word, or saying one word, why are you here? And that was a very interesting conversation.
Para mí, la bomba es pasión. Una conversación entre el primo y la bailadora. Una historia que se lleva las masas en canción como entre latinos.
Semilla Cultural definitely has gotten a lot more attention than what I expected. It's a great feeling because I get contacted by some people from Puerto Rico, supporting us, letting us know that, you guys are doing a great job. You gotta do what you're doing is right. And I feel that, what we are doing is the right thing, because it looks like we're filling a gap that was needed. The fact that I'm in the US makes me want to go back to kind of like get that experience of Bomba Plena in the island, because I didn't have it when I lived there. But at the same time, the fact that I'm here bringing Bomba to the community here, makes me feel more, connected, that I'm doing something right for not only for the local community, but something for my culture.
havoc Hurricane Ida inflicted this past year across the nation not only brought the topic of climate change to the forefront, but also demonstrated that communities of color often get hit the hardest by climate change issues. New Yorker Kristin Morales is one of the people who suffered through Hurricane Ida's aftermath. Correspondent Elena Romero reports.
I honestly don't think I have dealt with it or fully processed everything. I have not slept in literally 30 days because the anxiety has just crept in. I am still feeling the effects of what we experienced.
Prior to Hurricane Ida, 28-year-old Boricua Kristin Morales and her family had been living in a basement apartment in the Bronx, saving up to buy a home. In a matter of hours, everything she owned was washed away.
The water just started coming in, bum rushing in from the front door. Immediately put at least 3 inches within seconds in my entire apartment from front to back. All of our stuff just began getting swept away. And it was not just water falling from the sky, it was sewer water. It was also water from our neighbor's backyard that had garbage in it, all coming into our house.
Morales and her family became temporarily displaced and recently found a permanent residence a few blocks away where she was living. A stay-at-home mom, Morales is slowly recouping the things that she had lost.
We decided to launch a GoFundMe page because all of our furniture was completely destroyed with the water. It got into every crevice. There was no salvaging, not even a bucket. I lost majority of my clothes because of the way that my dresser was. Most of our shoes were destroyed. And the things that weren't destroyed in the water were destroyed by the mildew that just grew in immediately.
Prior to Hurricane Ida, had you thought about the concept of climate change and the issues that are surrounding us in terms of that?
Absolutely. It's something that I actually teach my children about how we need to take care of our earth because it's not going to be here for much longer if we keep living the way that we do.
Clearly, Hurricane Ida is one of the many indicators of climate change. Estimated damages reported by AccuWeather have been projected to $95 billion. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sees climate change a top priority.
Many of the places that will require attention and investment first are the frontline communities that have been historically neglected. Rural areas, poor urban areas, indigenous lands. Again, this is not a coincidence or even a form of affirmative action. It is common sense.
New York City government officials are working on a plan to improve the infrastructure in those communities.
That local officials know where the flooding will happen in an event. They know the drains that are not functioning. They know what happens when there's too much garbage accumulated and clogging the drains. And maybe they're never going to be able to handle this volume very well if it goes to 3 inches to 5 inches. But let's hit a baseline that we can handle a certain level with infrastructure improvements. So I have identified $375 million that I want to dedicate to building back resiliency.
Morales agrees.
I would like for them to get more on top of our sewer systems, our water drainage systems, and making sure that every house on the block has some kind of a drainage system. Because our neighbors had no drains at all, the water from their backyard is what pretty much came into my home because there was nowhere for the water to go except my apartment.
Morales advises residents to prepare themselves for future storms propelled by climate change.
I think that you should have a plan of action with climate change. There is a chance that this could happen to a lot more people. We weren't prepared and we're paying the price for it.
For LATiNAS, I'm Elena Romero.
Our next guest has mastered the art of songwriting and producing pure, unadulterated power through her electric guitar. Correspondent Abi Ishola spoke to Eljuri about how her mother inspired her craft and how she uses her music to rock the world.
Con las manos en la masa, atraparon al ladrón. Más vale tarde que nunca, vale tarde que nunca.
Mi nombre es Eljuri. My name is Eljuri. That's short for Cecilia Villar Eljuri. I'm a singer-songwriter, guitarist, and love to play music.
She's a veteran performer who's rocked out stages around the world with her electric sound that fuses a number of genres. It's no wonder she's been called one of the top Latina electric guitar players in the world. So Eljuri, you are certainly a triple threat. You play guitar, you write music, and you sing, and you've been described as a genre fuser. Can you describe your sound?
I've had a lot of good fortune to have incredible influences in growing up listening to music. I listened to Afro-Cuban music that my father listened to. I listened to Celia Cruz, Cito Puente, Cachao, all these amazing musicians. But then I also grew up in New York City, so I was going to clubs listening to rock, punk, funk, soul, so reggae. All those influences kind of come out with my Eljuri sound.
Music is also in her blood. The Ecuador native credits her mother, the late Olga Eljuri de Vilar, as her earliest musical influence.
Well, music came into my life when I was about 3 or 4 or 5 years old, something like that, because my mother was a composer and a pianist. And so at home, I would hear her beautiful, elegant, incredible compositions, her pasillos, boleros, valses. These are all beautiful melodies that she wrote. And so she'd play the piano. So when I was 4 years old, I just wanted to be her. I wanted to sit next to her. I wanted to listen to her.
In tribute to her, Eljuri made this video interpretation of her mother's song, Indiferencia. You describe yourself as a musical activist, and you advocate for women's rights and immigrant rights. How is this translated into your music?
So lyrically, the drive behind the messaging behind the songs are always about fighting for your rights, fighting against injustice, being kind to the environment, anti-gun, peace.
So far, she's lent her voice to various causes, including the 2017 Women's March in New York, for which she is a founding member. Her recent song, titled Bang Bang, addresses gun violence.
Knowing I had the ability, the good fortune of being a singer and a songwriter and a performer, that I can use my voice to, help people.
What do you want people to feel when they hear your music?
I want them to feel uplifted. I want them to feel mostly empowered. De tu mano a tu hermano y levante a tu hermano. Like, put your arm out and feel like you have the power to raise other people. I hope that's what they feel.
Abi Ishola for LATiNAS.
My name is Marisol Díaz, and I'm from the Bronx. When COVID began, my biggest concern was for my family to contract COVID. What would happen to mom and dad? And also my brother he had suffered from congestive heart failure a few years ago. Ultimately, my father did contract COVID. He was 79 years old. Yes, but his body was of a 50-year-old. He was healthy. He was still working. He was playing basketball with his grandkids. April 24th of 2020, my sister calls me and tells me that the hospital's saying we need to go see dad. So I was allowed to see my father, and so was my mom, for 10 minutes individually in full PPE. The new normal for my family is going to visit my father at the cemetery. The new normal for me is driving from the Bronx, going upstate, and now seeing my father on that glass door waiting for me to come up. Because he was always welcoming me with his beautiful gray eyes and his brown skin. Just seeing him made me happy. He didn't even have to say a word. The new normal is my nephews not having their grandfather to play basketball with. The new normal is my mother not having her partner. He was her partner since the age of 18. I mean, I cannot imagine what that is.
Latino culture is deeply intertwined with religion and spirituality. And since we're not a monolithic group, our spiritual beliefs can differ quite a bit. So we sat down with 3 Latinas to hear more about what they believe in today's Caliente Caliente.
My grandma was a really devout Catholic her entire life. And for a very long time, I followed that pursuit. But then my grandmother died, and it made me sort of more into the aspects of this, I would call it the loophole of Catholicism, where we worship the saints and our ancestors.
But my mom was like very strict Catholic woman. She was like, you gotta go to church every Sunday. You have to do your first communion. You have to do this. So I did everything. I did it all. But when I turned 17, I was like, is it really? And I started reading and reading. And that's when I found Islam.
Religion to me has never been, or not always been, a positive thing, I would say. Religion meant churches, religion meant organized, religion meant you had to be a certain kind of way, you had to act a certain kind of way, you had to love a certain kind of way. But then I learned about other religions and I was like, it was so confusing to me and so conflicting to me. So then I was just like, you know what? I'm no religion. I'm not choosing a religion. I'm just going to be spiritual. I believe in God.
There's a billion interpretations of what the one book says. And I think that's the most beautiful, that is so beautiful to me. Because I see it not as particularly like one's right, one's wrong. It's more of the culture, how much interpretations impacted a country and a culture, and how we can learn from each other and how we can use it to interpret each other to have a more sense of unity and solidarity with one another.
I love it. It's empowering to hear other women say that, because I don't feel alone. I feel like when I say this to some people that I don't believe, it's not that I don't believe in the stories. I don't believe that I want to blindly follow this book, right? That this is not the only answers. This is not the only way that we find answers. I get backlash sometimes, like you're disrespecting the religion or you're disrespecting the Bible or their interpretation of the Bible. And it's not that at all.
I remember once I traveled to Honduras and my uncle was like fuming, like, why would you become Muslim? That's not how we raise you. And I said, well, I'm an adult. I wanted to find home. My soul needed to find home, and Islam was it. For me, Islam was it. But I feel like my answers and my logic of why I'm Muslim, it will never be good enough to other people, because they have a sense of being Muslim is like giving up your nationality or where you're coming from. They see Islam as like I give up me being Honduran and Mexican to become Arab. Where it's two different things.
You made the choice, you made that call to do something for yourself. And that is in itself own self-care.
And I think that spirituality and being a Latina do not have to connect. They don't have to intersect technically. But as a person in the world, find your joy. What makes you happy? It doesn't even matter what you're doing. And I think that that's what we're losing in the world.
I feel like we Latinas, we're breaking the cycle. We're no longer, we get to choose now, whether we want to be spiritual or be grabs into a religion, or whether to believe in God or not. Because we grew up in that little bubble of you listen to your family and there's no way out of it. You're going to fulfill your family's dreams and hopes. And that's it. There's no question, and there's nothing more than that. And we Latinas are growing out of that. We're growing out of that bubble, and I like that.
A Juilliard-trained soprano and proud Puerto Rican, Eva de la O dedicated her life to promoting classically trained musicians and composers of Puerto Rican, Caribbean, and Latin American descent. She did this mainly through her nonprofit organization, Música de Cámara, which she founded in 1979. It brings classical music into the New York City cultural scene while also introducing Latinx classical composers and performers to new audiences. Over the course of her career, Eva sang around the world at several venues, including the Metropolitan Opera and the White House. For her tireless work supporting classical music and its musicians of all backgrounds, and for her steadfast belief and love of Puerto Rican culture, Eva de la O is today's Badass Latina. Financial advisor Angeles Bonany is back to tell us about an important topic, credit. She's about to give us tips on how you can help your children build good credit while they're young. Take a look.
Hi ladies, today we're going to talk about credit. And why credit? Because credit plays an important role in our lives, and having good credit or bad credit can be crucial. Credit is a good tool because it will allow you to pay for large purchases over time when you don't have the money up front. And where do we obtain credit? Well, there's credit card companies, there's banks, and there's other lenders who may be willing to lend to you depending on how good your credit history has been. That's why it's so important that we teach our children to be financially responsible and to watch their spending. And nowadays, because you can swipe quickly or tap with your phone and pay with your debit card, your credit card, or your digital wallet, it can be very easy for you or your children to lose track of their spending. Your credit history or your children's credit history will be summarized by a number. That number is the credit score. The higher the credit score, the more credit-worthy you'll be to potential lenders. As your children grow older, they may start using a credit card, which is a fantastic tool to help them build that credit history that we talked about. But now, we have to teach them to be responsible with the use of that credit card. So 2 important rules. Rule number 1, pay in full, every single month. Rule number 2, pay on time. Try to avoid penalty fees. By teaching your children about being responsible with the use of credit, you're really giving them the opportunity, you're giving them the foundation to tackle larger purchases in the future, like buying a computer, buying a car, or eventually buying a home. Ladies, I hope these tips are useful. See you next episode.
Imagine being a former Marine whose food and travel content side hustle becomes a full-time job. That's exactly what happened to Puerto Riqueña Jessica Van Dup de Jesus, and that's why she's today's Latina on the Rise. This is just one of many of Jessica Van Dup de Jesus' popular videos that caught everyone's eye this past year when we were stuck working from home.
I haven't been on a plane for now over a year, and I wanted to bring that sense of traveling to my home. And one of the things I thought was, how about I start making recipes from the places that I've been to, that I love, and putting it on video. And I thought, why don't I do this and help other folks get closer to their destinations, to their favorite destinations, or even places that they want to visit in the future. And again, food is something that brings people together.
Jessica's cooking videos feature recipes from Puerto Rico to Japan, and the feedback she's getting from them has proven to be priceless.
I think that for me, the biggest recognition is being able to do my work and having people give me that feedback. I had a cousin of mine that never cooks in her life, and she followed my Puerto Rican cooking series, and she sent me a text and a picture, and she was like, oh my God, I made this. And to me, that's the real reward.
Creating video content, however, isn't Jessica's only passion. Although the former Marine has traveled to over 50 countries and has lived in 6, she chose to write a book called The Dining Traveler Guide to Puerto Rico, which takes viewers on a journey across the island through stunning photos of its vistas, pictures of its mouth-watering cuisine, and interviews with its most famous chefs.
One of the things that inspired me to do the book is that I never saw stories about Puerto Rico written by Puerto Ricans in mainstream travel media. And it's so rich in history and traditions, and we have so much to be proud of. So anything that I can do to put that out in the world, amplify people that are doing that work, I try to do, because we do have a beautiful culture that we should be proud of.
Jessica is also very proud of how she made her passion projects become a full-time paying job.
The businesses that thrive are the ones that have many different verticals, and is not only about making money in the Dining Traveler platform, but using the skills that I've learned in Dining Traveler to do consulting on social media, to writing branded content for other publications, photographing restaurants, doing video B-roll.
So what advice does this Boricua have for other up-and-coming content creators?
I think that the main thing is persistence. I see so many people that start blogs or start websites or start Instagram or whatever medium, and they'll do it for 6 months, a year, and then they just drop off. I think that we live in a culture of instant gratification, right? Everybody wants to become viral. Everybody wants those 100,000 followers, but you can make a living from this without having a huge following. I'm a living proof of that.
And now to have more dessert. Adios.
And that's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu and follow our social media profiles because we love sharing our Latina stories with you. And please make sure you tune in next month where we'll celebrate the holiday season and so much more. Uepa! Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye.